So what is this idea that philosophy is useless? Neil deGrasse, Michael Tyson, whatever his name is, made the news recently for saying philosophy is useless to science. But a lot of people believe this. It's in the language game. And Andrew Michael Tyson, whatever, says this a lot on social media. And it's this idea that philosophy is of no practical use. We're going to talk about three ideas that have actually discussed this very thing that in some cases, there are philosophers talking about how bad it is. Number one is that philosophers ramble on, and they talk about things to make themselves seem smart rather than because something's true. Nietzsche is a perfect example of criticizing this. He calls it decadence. But also, we have that quote that you learned in graduate school that continental philosophers write 300 pages or something you could sum up in one sentence. And it's because they want to seem smart, or that's the perception that the public has. And so when people read it, they get completely turned off. Number two is that philosophy objects, the things they talk about, are illusions. They're often so abstract they don't mean anything. Daniel Dennett is famous for saying consciousness is an illusion, which means we can talk about the brain and physical processes, but when we talk about consciousness, it's not really a thing, but we talk about it as if it is a thing. Another example is Wittgenstein wrote a whole book on this, and it is that when you ask a question, if your object, if your potential answer is something outside reality, the whole thing is going to break down. There's no way to really talk about it. So that's the subject of philosophy being too much of an illusion. Number three was Thomas Reid's warning that you're going to lose the academic discipline of philosophy if it becomes what he called silly. He means that if it comes up against common sense and it wants to battle, common sense is always going to win. And what he meant by that was that um, when thinkers break with reality, the average person loses interest. They have no interest. And if everyone loses interest, there's going to be no one to support the discipline. And if Thomas Reid was alive today, he, like me, would be horrified and he would probably crack jokes. But he would also say, this is exactly what I predicted. And it is philosophy making itself seem silly. And in addition, this is the last thing I want to say about these three examples of why it's gone astray. And that is that think about time and how philosophy has made the same mistake over and over again for 300 years. And think of it like an ex-girlfriend. If you're dating someone and they do the same thing over and over again, each time it happens, you're going to get more pissed off. And I think that's the way people are about philosophy today, and that's why you need to separate it. Thanks for coming, and go eat vegetables.